Today, we're going to talk about a topic that might make you a little bit uncomfortable. If you're running the business and you're responsible for the business, it's probably the time where you're going away. It is also the time where, because everyone else is going away, you really get to test out, does it feel good to go away? Or are you just running from what the business is? And are you actually recharging, or are you just trying to get back to baseline? Our conversation today is about you and making sure that you are shifting from the CEO that does to the CEO that designs. Welcome back to the Living Vision Show. Excited to be here with you. It is summertime. Oh, boys, it's summertime. It's hot here in Phoenix. Really, it hasn't been that bad. I've got Marty Noki in the house with us here today. We are recording this from two different sides of the country, which is pretty cool. And we're having this big, long debate about which place is hotter. It's not humid here in Phoenix, but it's actually remarkably cool. You're on the East Coast where it's hot but humid.
Remarkably. Yeah, I mean, tomorrow's supposed to be in the 90s here, but also humid. So,
yeah. Would you take humidity and lower temp over higher temp, no humidity?
I don't know. Sometimes humidity is also nice because there's like moisture in the air. You know what it's like out there.
So which one are you taking?
At the moment, I'll take the humidity because that's where I'm at. What if I resist it? Then I'm just fighting what is.
You're a brave man. You're a brave man.
But you're going to be doing it very soon as well.
I'm on the East Coast. We're on the East Coast next week with a client for a big retreat, and yeah, I'm gonna miss the dry, I'm sure. This is the time of year for you, wherever you're listening, where you get to go away. And today we're going to talk about a topic that might make you a little bit uncomfortable. Here's the reality. It's summertime, and in summertime, CEOs go away. Business owners go away. Founders go away. Whatever you've labeled yourself, it seems that label changes depending on which audience you're with. But if you're running the business and you're responsible for the business, it's probably the time where you're going away. And there's also the time where, because everyone else is going away, you really get to test out, does it feel good to go away? Or are you just running from what the business is? And are you actually recharging, or are you just trying to get back to baseline?
It could be both.
Could be both. Yeah, maybe if you're structured. You know, at the end of the day, our conversation today is about you and making sure that you are shifting from the CEO that does to the CEO that designs. There's a remarkable change that I've noticed growing a business. I've noticed internally. And when you can really listen to the topic that we're going to talk about today and interpret it, it's going to help you frame the next 6 months of the year. The rest of the year can be totally different if you pay attention and make some new choices from our topic today. I think at the end of the day, when I go home and finish work, I want to feel like I've led the business. I want to feel like I've led the team, like I've contributed to something that's more than just my efforts. And yet, for many years, I'd say the better part of my time and tenure as an entrepreneur, that was not what I was doing. I was doing the exact opposite. I was just getting more done. And the growth of the business was tied to me getting more done. Eventually, that shit gets old. It's incredibly exhausting. And today we're going to take a look at a couple different patterns that you might have to take some action on so that you get out of the doing and into the designing of your business, of your team, of your vision. And most importantly, you get out of like the burnout mode that comes with you being the responsible party for all of the business success. Marty, we've been able to have, multiple dozens of conversations about like burnout. And it's a big pattern this time of year because there's this pressure to take a break. But if you haven't built your business right, a break doesn't feel like a break at all, right? You're doing it for your family. You're shifting from work mode into family mode, but it's not really rejuvenating for you. What do you think that's from? Why is that?
It feels more like an escape at that point. I speak of my own experience. It feels like an escape because I know that's what I always needed. I needed an escape. To get myself realigned. I think that's often what I would go for in those moments. I didn't necessarily know that language at that time, but I also knew that I was like off. And for me, it often felt like like my body, my internal had to catch up with everything else. And the only way that I could do that was leaving, was stepping away, escaping.
Escaping. Yeah. To me, the biggest indicator that something needs to change is when you come back from your quote unquote break and you jump back in, and by day one, you're tired again.
Right. And you need another break.
You're like, what? Oh man. and and look, if that's you, if that's where you're at, it's okay to be there. Like I don't want to shame it. I don't want to blame it. It just means that we have to diagnose the problem and start to triage it a little bit, because something does need to change.
Yeah. And because I've been thinking about the topic all day, I think like I wouldn't have known when I was in those moments that there was any other way. Like you only know what you know. And until you get a glimmer like a vision of what that could be, of what life is beyond that, I think it's very hard to say, well, I'm going to change because I can't yet see beyond what I know. And I think it's easy to get trapped in only knowing what I know.
Well, let's define the difference between these two things, just so you know where we're going. Whether you're jogging, driving, whatever you're doing, whether you're sitting with us, I appreciate you being here. And I really want this to be meaningful for you.
They're sitting and having coffee while they listen.
Wherever you are, I want you to really take some time to reflect on this as we go. The change that's possible exists beyond what you might be familiar with. And it's important that as we dig into these couple of critical observations, that you're willing to confront the limit of what you know. In building a business, the typical pattern that we see in working with hundreds of CEOs is that the thing that gets the business lift is founder energy. It's founder action. It's founder driven. It's founder led, right? And when you hear that, it obviously puts an emphasis on what's the founder got. The founder has something magic, some mojo, some wazoo, but eventually the founder gets tapped out. And at a certain point, things have to shift. And today I want to show you what that shift might be for you. If you are burnt out, you're tired, your retreats, your adventures, your vacations, they don't feel like rest and alignment and really being able to think ahead, then you got some work to do. And we're going to show you what that work is as we march this out for you. The first place to start is in labeling what your ceiling is. When you're founder led, when you're the one responsible for all this, it's easy to think, well, my strategy isn't getting me very far, or my strategy is the upper limit. My strategy is the ceiling. And one of the patterns that's most obnoxiously loud right now is people who are unable to execute on their strategy because they're the ones doing all the executing. They're the ones grinding, gritting, and hustling. And there's almost this belief, I've been here, where I'm stuck is really a question of I'm tired and I don't want to admit that I can't muscle this anymore. There's like a fatigue, Marty. You've probably felt it or seen it, where there's so much exhaustion that you just can't get to the other side, no matter what the strategy is.
I would bet I've said this in one of our conversations before. When I was about a month out from leaving ministry, I'll never forget sitting with my therapist at the time saying, I don't know if I can hold it together any longer. That's how it felt for me. Like I was holding everything together. And I think whether that's personally or in that case, like in a church or your business. And I'll never forget him telling, maybe you're not supposed to hold it all together. But yeah, it felt like it felt like just carrying this huge weight, trying to hold it all together for me.
I have felt the same. You know, the way that I would describe it is I've got all this weight on my shoulders, in my hands. I'm just like carrying everything. And I don't know how to set one thing down, right? Without all of it, right? So like if I'm carrying all the groceries, you know when you carry in all the groceries?
No, I know. I don't do that.
Oh, you're not that guy? I'm that guy. You know, I'm that guy. So like my arm is turning blue because all the bags are cutting off circulation and I'm sweating. But I don't know how to get it off my hands, right? I can't lift it to drop it and I can't drop it because I've got all this stuff in my, like, you're in this really weird moment of, I don't know how to set down one bag. I don't know how to set down one responsibility or one opportunity or whatever. And it just feels like the world is shrinking and every day feels like a war. It's so long and so heavy and you're exhausted and drained. And I think behind all that is this refusal to let go of how quote unquote special you are, how uniquely you do something, how good at something you are. And there's almost a reluctance to acknowledge that there's some kind of responsibility within your field of influence that you are not meant to carry anymore, and you're just not letting go.
Yeah, the image that comes to mind, I don't know if this is true for you. Like I could start to feel my back almost hunched over because that I start to feel like on my back as you were describing. I'm holding all of that myself. And again, I don't think you necessarily know it while you're in it. It's not until you're beyond it where it's like, oh, why was I doing that to myself? So I was also aware of my body language as well, just how much it was like hunching me over in that moment.
Yeah, nice. Well, here's something you can do today, right now, while you listen, to figure out where these spots are. I have found that business over business, doesn't matter what it is, once I do this, I can actually start to identify and make change the same day. So here's what I want you to do. As you go through today, or as you begin your day, I want you to make a list of all the things on your calendar and all the things that you have to do. And after you do the thing, I want you to give yourself a plus or a minus related to that thing. Do you feel better, energized, excited after it? Or do you feel drained by it? And if you can just take some time to identify what on your calendar, what kind of meetings, what kind of doings drain you, you can then go immediately into, how do I get this off my plate? How do I delegate this? How do I start to organize the business around getting this off my plate? And I want to give you fair warning. It's possible that all of the things on your calendar will get a negative. And that sucks. I've been there. It all needs to go.
And that's a shot to the ego again, because so much of it is tied to your identity in that role. And can I let that go? I want to offer a reflective point as well. And this is, I learned this from you when you coached me years ago, that because so much of it is based on what I know, there's also a relationship to the unknown. Like what does life look like on that other side of the equation? And I know how powerful that was for me to give myself the space to. There's a lot of fear associated with it. Like, well, then there's nothing. Like if I take all these things away, there's nothing. All right, there's nothing, but there's probably something else that's trying to come up in that space. But I think there's a lot of value in questioning and looking at your relationship with the unknown because you become so comfortable what you do know.
That's such a great question to put here in this midst.
It came from you years ago.
Well, but it's so appropriate to this. Like, I don't think it's easy to understand what roles in your business might look like if you only have built from the ground up. Like I built from the ground up. Like no one told me how to run a business. I didn't know that there was another way. Right? I didn't know there was another option. I didn't know there was a way to run it where I wasn't slinging everything. Right? I've only gotten to a certain point because of hustle. Well, now I'm out of hustle. Like there's no more hustle. I'm empty, and my muscles are tired. And it's hard, I think, on the outside to look at like a professional athlete that walks away from the job. Like, why would he quit? Like he's making millions, all these things. Until you're an entrepreneur and your business is like maybe making some money, but you're burnt out. Like you're crispy because you've been on the hot seat all day, every day for years. And asking just out of sheer possibility, is there another way that this business could operate is well worth it. So I think that's a really important piece.
as you know, like so many of us in our world read about so many others and how they've done it. You can't always just duplicate because you're not that person. I think you can learn lessons from other people, but you really do have to like what not only what works in your head, but what feels right embodied in you as being that person.
Yeah, definitely. Well, once you do an audit of your time and once you know certain things have to come off, what you probably will notice, and I noticed this, was that I had outgrown my role. And look, here, if you have a team member, when they outgrow a role, what they're going to tell you is like, I'm not having fun with this anymore. I really don't like these sets of responsibilities. I feel drained more frequently. Marty, you know a little bit about this because you've done this. You've outgrown your space multiple times. Like we all go through this.
At least once a year.
And I think what happens as a CEO, this is for you listening. If someone on your team came to you and said, hey, like, I'm not feeling excited about this role anymore. I really don't feel energized by it. Some of these things are draining me. If they're great on your team, you're going to be like, okay, what do we adjust? What is giving you life? What is accelerating you? What feels aligned? And then how do we get these other things off your plate? But you got to do that for you. And it's so important to do it for you because you probably outgrew your role. And at a certain point, when you go from operator to visionary, what happens is your role gets less in the weeds. It gets less around doing. It gets less around like production. And it becomes more about communication, about getting out in the world, and about leading your team, about almost coaching your team to perform at a higher level. And it might be time for you to rewrite the story of your role and allow yourself to break through to the next level. In order to do that, you might need to get help. You might need to talk to someone that has either expanded beyond that so you get a sense of what it could look like, or you find help, find coaches, find mentors, someone that can show you the other side. Once you see the other side, you'll never turn back. I promise you that.
Aaron, it essentially wasn't your role in the first place. And I think this goes for both of us. We filled gaps because we were building something. There was a hole here, so I got to take care of what's there. I think some of it wasn't my role or your role in the first place. We just did what we had to do because that's what was necessary in that moment.
Definitely. Yeah, I can think back to the formation of this business. I can think back to older businesses. Like I and you have had to fill in gaps with the intention of like, okay, I'm going to wear 19 hats, but the goal was not to wear 19 hats.
Right.
I don't like wearing 19 hats. Wearing one hat's enough. Okay, let's shift into number 2. When you look at your business and start to imagine your to-do list, what probably is organizing your thoughts is where do I need to be? The catalyst for leaders, founders, is to say, where do I need to be? Where do I need to spend my time? And the genesis of that comes from ground up building, where it has to be you. I need to shake this person's hand. I need to make this happen. I need to sign the dotted line. I need to craft this contract. I need to do all these things. And that's fine. Again, you've got hustle energy. Let's use it. But as that starts to wane and you start to get a little bit more concentrated in what is best for you in the business, we start to build a team. And visionaries, and once you get out of operation mode, you can even consider what visionary is. Visionaries spend more time rather than what do I need to be spending my time on. They say, what does this business need? And it sounds like a really similar question, but they're different. They are actually miles apart. Building for what you need is about satisfying what's best for you. How do I use my 8 hours? How do I catalyze on all this energy? Like it's sort of self-driven. And sometimes that means that a CEO is spending time being significant, making sure they're the decision maker, making sure they're leading, making sure they're the ones confronted or consulted before big things happen. I get it. You got an ego. We all do. But there's another way to run your business. There's another way to lead. And the way that we do that is we think about what needs to be built that's going to allow this to go past me. It's almost inverting the organizational triangle so that you're not at the top, you're at the bottom. Now you're supporting these things that are coming to life rather than designing them and being the bottleneck. Here's a way to know if you're the bottleneck. If everyone comes to you with the problems, you're the bottleneck. if you're the receiver of, hey, this is not going well. Hey, what do we do here? Hey, 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 hey. If that's you, you're the bottleneck and you're the problem. And the inverse of this allows you to build something beyond your need for significant. And I think even beyond that, it allows you to build what's best for your clients and not best for you. It's a totally different orientation.
Yeah, otherwise, and you and I have had this conversation before. Otherwise, you're essentially building. You're asking everyone to build you versus building the business. And they, again, I think it goes also back to number one. Those things tend to be so intertwined with vision, especially starting out. Their whole identity is wrapped up in that business. And I think part of that is, can I begin to separate that and see myself that the business is bigger than you. It's bigger than the visionary. And that keeps all of it in check so that you're still important. Yes, you are still important, but that doesn't make you the be all and end all.
Most entrepreneurs that I've met have pain. They have some sort of like pain that pushed them into being an entrepreneur. And what catalyzes that or what cannibalizes that is this like, this business will solve my pain kind of syndrome, where it's like, I want to be significant. I wasn't significant as a kid, so I want to be significant. And from that, in the beginning, it's great because you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm important. I have power. Oh, it's like He-Man the first time he transformed. It's like, I got all this glow. I'm ready to do this. But while it satisfies this need to be useful and need to make change and create movements and be significant day to day, eventually, if you're the one that's needed and you get that satisfaction of being significant, you're eventually so significant that you're trapped because you're needed all the time.
Right. Right. Would you say though that like that approach is still very much based on outside validation?
There's a lot of outside validation.
And that's kind of what feeds that machine at that time.
There's also a degree of uh, reactivity, like everything is now, 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 now.
But you're still operating from the pain.
Yeah, you're still driven by, you're running from something, you're not running to something. And it's hard to architect anything long term when you're in reactivity, right? The change happens when, again, you listening, when you're able to pause and look at like, how many things am I needed for? Like, if I'm not in this meeting, does it happen? If I'm not making this decision, does it go through? If I'm not in this client conversation, can it exist? If I'm not traveling, will something collapse? If you just look at the areas that you're needed, you'll probably be able to identify how trapped you are. Because if you go away, you're going to feel like you're stuck in it.
Do you know, and this probably happens over time, I don't think but there often is a catalyst. Is there an experience in your life where it's like, where you recognize, I can't do this anymore, I have to do it a different way because it's not working, where that shift begins to take place? Like, what does that look like? What has that looked like for you?
Well, I'll give you a concrete example because I think it's a great question. When I started coaching a long time ago in this kind of container, like personal development, leadership, vision, etc., I was running 60-minute calls every week with a client. So it was every single week. And for a while it worked because we were regular, right? It's no different than therapy. Like, okay, you're consistent. But eventually two things started to happen. One, the big breakthrough was happening at 55 minutes. So it was like, yeah, whoa, see you later. Here's what to do with that in between now and then.
You were getting on the next call then. Like, you couldn't even continue the call.
Yeah, there was no way to get in. And then second, as more and more people said, I want to do this with you, and more calls go on my calendar, my calendar was just like a permanent block by block by block by block by block. Like my days were like 7 calls all day, every day. It's exhausting. And those two things led to burnout really fast. And I eventually was like, this doesn't work at all. Now, the idea of being significant certainly played into that. Like, I think I struggled with delegating as a whole. I think I struggled with structure as a whole because every call was adaptive, right? I was reactive, basically. There was no like, this is our program. So the first step of change was let's make a program, a method, so that I don't have to think every time about what the heck are we doing today, right? Let's make a methodology so that we can follow it. Makes it way easier. But then two was I don't want to be doing this many calls. Like it's so draining and I have to pour so much into an hour that there are two bottlenecks. I'm the bottleneck and they're the bottleneck. Like this just isn't working. So we shifted to 90-minute calls every other week. And proposing that idea just to myself was crazy because I immediately thought like, well, no one's going to say yes to that. But here's what I learned. When I pitched that, no one knew that it had been a different way. And they were like, oh, this sounds great. They're deeper calls. They're more intense. And I have more time in between sessions to go deeper on the work. This is all good. This is great. But I got really hung up on like, no. I'm like supposed to be the best part of their week. And
Well, that's the narrative you were just talking about, the need. Like, well, they need me to be there all that time.
Here's where it also shifted. This to like the point of like, where am I needed? Like I was needed on that coaching call. But the moment I started to think about like what needs to be built, a methodology needs to be built, then I started thinking like a visionary, right? Because now it's not like, can I deliver it? It's, can this be delivered? Big difference. Totally different style.
Yeah, and in terms of like a business growing, again, we've talked about this many times, and anyone that's in our type of work knows this. It's hard to scale this type of business because it can't scale with one person because you're limited as to what you can do and when you can show.
Well, especially in that, it doesn't matter what business you have. Like if it's founder led and energized, the amount of things that could flow through that person for decision making erode their ability to do what they're great at even more. So we're here on this podcast. Thankfully, we have help with the podcast bringing it to life because I don't know. I would be so drained editing. I would be like, it would knock another 3 hours out of my week,
And if it was me, we'd get one every 3 months, probably.
Because it's not highest and best, nor is it a talent of ours, right? We'd really have to muscle it. And, these are topics like this doesn't seem like a crunchy topic when you first hear it. But when you start looking at like, where am I needed versus what needs to be built for this organization, your task list changes. And look, this is coming up with other podcast hosts. This is coming up with other business owners and entrepreneurs. Hermosi talks about this a bunch. Mel Robbins has talked about this a bunch. Patrick Bet-David Jr. has talked about this. The shift from I'm the operator to I'm the visionary, where I'm building what needs to be built, not what I'm needing to do and what keeps me busy. It's really challenging. It's really challenging to get there. But I think the difference between leadership models is one is like founder centric. The other is client centric. And when you start getting client centric, you can't operate the same way. Like if we need to deliver more to a client, I only have so many hours. I need other people as a part of this team to help deliver on what we're trying to deliver overall. And to do that requires an audit.
And I would also say that the operator mindset often ends up becoming like the savior complex, that because it can't operate without me. They need me to be there and to solve every problem that exists.
Here's how I would encourage you listening to figure out if this is you. If you're telling your team how to do their job a lot, you're not in the build mode for the business. Because you shouldn't have that much time. Like you shouldn't be all over their stuff. Give them their stuff, guide them through their stuff. If they're having trouble, maybe wrong person, wrong seat, who knows? But I think that a lot of founders, when they finish their task list, the need to be significant is like, well, I'm going to go be significant to that person by telling them what they are or aren't doing. And I'm going to go help them. Like, they probably don't need help. If your team needs that much help, you got a bad team.
Or they'll ask. because that's usually, yeah. And I think there's lots of stories that go with it because that's also the person that's like, well, I can't leave. Like they're here. I have to keep working. When you're given the opportunity to step away and do what you want.
Yep. Going out and doing what's best for the business might not even feel like work. Like sometimes what's best for the business is for me to go speak to a group. I don't even see that as work anymore. I love doing that. But sometimes that's the best thing for the business. Not the best thing for me necessarily, but it's the best thing for the business. And that is a big distinction. Now, here's what you can do if you really want to start to get organized. We have a great tool on this. If you want it, jump online, send me a DM, just DM me the word focus, and I'll send you our focus exercise with the video breakdown of how to use the tool. But something you can do right now is you can look at your responsibilities, look at your to-do list, look at the meetings on your calendar, look at the things that you're responsible for, and just start to look down that list and use an acronym DAD, DAD. Can you delete it and the business still runs? If the answer is yes, stop there. If you can't delete it, meaning that it is critical, then the next one is, can you automate it? Can something else take over 90% of it? Like stop sending emails to book appointments, use a calendar link, right? Simple automation, tool, system. If you can't automate it, then it goes to the next one. And that is delegate it. And that's kind of your bottom barrel. If you can delete it, don't delegate it. Like if the business keeps running after you delete it, don't go back to it, let it be. But that framework, DAD, will help you with getting things off your plate. So you have this mental model shift of, okay, what's going to get me the business to the next level? I'm going to start to build differently and I'm going to build what this business needs. More than likely, you know what the business needs because you said it. You probably said out loud, oh man, it'd be great if we had, in our case, a methodology. It'd be great if we had a CRM. It'd be great if we had a retreat in a box. I remember like really building our methodology for retreats with you, Marty. Like, man, very complete, very thorough. It'd be great if we had automations and checklists. Like building that takes time, but that's probably most important versus the small responsibilities that are catching you up in the weeds and making you incredibly drained.
Just one point one nuance on that. When it comes to deleting, and to kind of tie it back to the first point, if you believe that it can't be deleted or needs to be deleted, but you can't delete it, there's a pretty good chance you're the person who's trying to hold it all together, like I talked about earlier. You're afraid putting that one piece down that it's all going to fall apart, which means you need to send like Aaron a message like yesterday, because the whole thing is going to collapse on you. Taking one thing out is not going to collapse the business. It just feels that way at the moment. But that's you more than it is any of those tasks.
It feels like Jenga, right? You're like trying to grab the brick and it's like, oh, this whole thing is going to fall. Meanwhile, it's like the top. Like,
Right. Yeah. It's like the first move you're making.
yeah. Well, if you're panicked about setting something down, to Marty's point, please reach out. I'd love to help you. We'd love to understand more. And we've got a lot of tools that don't require any kind of investment, some that do, but a lot of tools that might be able to help you get started just so you can identify. But if you want the focus tool, send me an email, send me a DM, send me a message somewhere. I'll send it to you. It's got instructions and it goes deeper into this dad mode mentality to help you identify where the leaks are. All right, let's talk about number 3. I'm going to start this with a story. When I'm in the tunnel, and anybody listening, Marty, is going to know what I mean when I describe the tunnel. The tunnel is, I see the objective. I can't think of anything else because I'm focused on that objective. And there's no possible way that anything else can fit into my mind right now because that objective is so big and so complicated. It requires so much work that I got to really focus and I got to really work hard and I got to work. And then I got to work. And after I get work done, I'm going to work more. And then after all that, then I'll take a break. That's the tunnel. Whatever your tunnel is. I know you got a tunnel. You're probably in the tunnel right now.
That doesn't sound like your tunnel at all.
The tunnel, friend, is a lie.
Friend.
The tunnel is a lie. The tunnel is a test, I think. in every way, shape, and form. It's a test of where your boundaries are and how committed you are to your objective with those boundaries intact. And if you're like, man, I really want to prioritize being a dad or all these things, and you fold your boundaries, you fold your priorities when you hit the tunnel, you failed the test, in my opinion. The tunnel is a place to forge the next level of you. And in forging the next level of you, this is where stuff is going to burn off, like a spaceship entering the atmosphere. Like stuff has to burn off. You got to shed stuff. When you're in the tunnel, I was in the tunnel recently, you can't even hear what other people are saying. Like the most obvious thing, someone could be like, hey man, there's like a panther in front of you. And you're just like, whatever, shut up. Like you're the juggernaut, right? You just run over everything. You'll be reactive. You'll be short with people. You're short tempered, and all these things start to like grow and bottle. And when you're in that space, it's very hard to convince a CEO that they're not doing it right because you can't hear, can't listen. It's like being on the battlefield. And I've not been to war, but I'm pretty sure it feels like that. Like when bullets are flying, you are not thinking about like, what's the stain? Like how is this stain on my shirt going to come off? Right. You're not thinking about like what's for lunch.
You have been, just not traditional war.
Yeah. Many wars, just not with AK-47s. Here's the logic that I go into. It's flawed logic. So I'm going to preface this, but here's the logic I go into. I'll take a break when I complete the mission. And whatever that mission is, I'll get to the mission at all costs. But the thing that I've learned over time is that mission can't happen unless I take space, unless I zoom out, because I can't see on the battlefield. I can't see anything. My head is down and I'm just running. And we used to say this on the soccer field a lot. Like as soon as your head goes down, you're done. The goal is to play the game with your head up. And I think in business, the goal is to play the game with your head up too. Most times it's important to get space, but it's probably the last thing that you would imagine doing, taking space. It's probably the hardest thing to imagine doing. And it feels indulgent, selfish, or downright irresponsible to go take a break, to go zoom out. And being in the tunnel recently, I had this foresight of like, okay, I gotta set up quarterly spaces, quarterly rests, so that I zoom out every quarter. And I was smart enough to put that ahead and put that on the calendar and book those things out, because when I'm in the tunnel, 90 days is plenty to experience a tunnel. I forget to do it, but I have to do it. And Marty, you've kind of been a great aid in pushing that. What's the resistance that you often hear from me? Because I'm sure I'm resistant to it. Marty's eyes just roll. If you're not on video, you'll never see it. But Marty's eyes just rolled. It was like a solar eclipse right there.
That's war in and of itself. Because it feels like a battle. I do want to. I'll reframe one thing first, because I think this is my own background now, philosophy background. If you're unsure of when this is happening, because I think you say it this way as well. If I finish X, then. If I finish X, then. And I'll just keep repeating these conditional statements over and over again. And there's testing that goes through in the philosophical world as to whether those are logical or not. But it comes down to the more I repeat those things, the space begins to shrink. I move more and more into scarcity mode at that point, because none of it's based on logic when I do that. And so you already described yourself. You can't hear anything, no matter how much I tell you otherwise. You cannot hear that in that moment. What I've learned, and this is just, and I learned this in my previous life as well. Then for me, all it becomes about is planting seeds at that point. That's all I'm doing. I'm still going to say what I say. I'm not going to say it with judgment. I'm not going to critique. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to plant the seed. So, because I know at some point when you're through that tunnel, those things will catch up and it'll connect. And so for me, it's very much about planting seeds and just being patient and present and showing up as best I can in those moments.
Well, everybody needs a Marty. I'll tell you that. Marty, you can probably actually, I'll make this open ended rather than pin it to like agree, disagree. What I feel like I've gotten much better at responding to those nudges from you sooner. Like it doesn't take nearly as many seeds to be planted before I'm like, all right, yep, I hear you. Is that fair?
I mean, we just had that experience recently about one of your trips coming up, and I'm like, all right, well then I guess I have to take care of it myself. And then immediately you said, all right, I hear you. Um, so yeah, it depends on how narrow that tunnel is, and I'm not just describing you. I can be there as well. I think all of us can be there
I think all of us can, yeah.
at different moments. So it's not just you; it's all of us. It's you got to go through it, whether you like it or not. That tunnel often has a significant purpose.
Yeah. If you're in the tunnel or have noticed that you're going into a tunnel or have even used language like, I'll do it when, what I want to remind you is that as a leader of an organization, when you are on the battlefield with everyone else, you are no longer equipped to make decisions that affect everyone. And the hard part about that is you not only have the responsibility of making decisions that affect everyone, but you are no longer in position to do that. So you almost have to self segregate your own responsibilities. Like if you're in the tunnel, stay in the tunnel, but don't make big choices. Don't make radical. Your team will think you're whiplashing them. Your team will think you've lost sight of the mission.
And you know this because we have said this many times, even recently. Like if you're in that tunnel, I know I can't be in the tunnel. I I can't be. It's your tunnel anyway. Correct. If we're both in a tunnel, we have a bigger problem. So even if I have to essentially put mine aside for the betterment of the business in that moment, not to take away diminish my own tunnel that I may be experiencing. For the good of the business and in that role, I cannot be in that same space because you're there, because the business just stops at that point.
Well, and it goes vice versa, right? Like if you're in your tunnel and I show up and I'm like panicked, then I can't show steady for you. And if we're going to build a business together, and I'm sure some of you listening have business partners or people close to you, or you're building it with your spouse or your significant other, like you both can't go haywire. The whole thing falls, right? It's it's like playing Jenga where someone's like ripping the table back and forth. Like it's definitely going to fall over then. And I guess what I want to convey just out of empathy and sympathy for someone that's going through the tunnel is that the best thing you can do for yourself is to make a radically unique decision. Here's that choice. The choice is stop. The choice is go away for a weekend. The choice is put the laptop away. All of your wiring, I know it because I'm you. All of your wiring is going to tell you need to put in more time, that you need to focus more, that you need to be disciplined,
Faster.
be like, yeah, you need to be moving at a quicker pace. You need to be fighting. You need to be like, it's all wrong. It's all a program. It's all a code in your head that will not get you what you want. I know it because never has it ever gotten me what I want. I might get to the objective. I might finish the task, but it's usually done very, very poorly. And it doesn't have the kind of yield when I show up full and whole and happy. And like, not even happy, like excited and enthusiastic. If you're the founder of your business, the way you show up infiltrates every corner of the business, from clients to the team. And your ability to make sure you show up requires you to make a controversial choice. Doesn't matter what the team says, doesn't matter what anybody says. When you get in the tunnel, the best thing you can do is book time away. Maybe that's a vacation. Maybe that's a staycation. Maybe that's an overnight. Maybe that's a 4-hour break. But you have got to be decisive about taking space, because you cannot make decisions about the whole battlefield when you're taking grenades in the trenches. It doesn't work.
And just keep in mind that, and you know this, the tunnel is often has nothing to do with work. Work just becomes the outlet for the tunnel a lot of times. The tunnel is more often than not a personal experience that you're going through. You can't totally put it aside. The tunnel comes with you wherever you go. So I do want to make that point that don't wait for some big event in the business. It's more than likely a personal experience that you're going through that's going to impact the way you operate in the business.
I love to travel. You know this, Marty. I love to travel. And there's something about being on an airplane that I think is fortuitous about this conversation. I like to travel often. And when I'm in an airplane, it feels like I can zoom out. Like even if it's not even zooming out on the business, just being able to look down and be like, oh, that seems really small. That was a giant house, but now it looks tiny. I think it almost helps me see whatever my like big house is of the moment, right? The big house of the moment might be, I don't know, I got to make a decision about what I'm wearing to an event, or I got to make a decision about, what vendor we're using, or, oh my goodness, what are we going to record this week? Who knows? Whatever it is. But taking space to get zoomed out is really helpful. We've taken a couple people up to Sedona in like our VIP immersion experience and putting them in a small aircraft where we're like literally their arms aren't as wide as the plane allows you to see the world different. And when you see the world different, it's easier to see your problems different. But I find that the biggest challenge being in the tunnel is that I genuinely don't have the ability to think bigger than my problem. Like, here's the way I see it. Like the problem is not going to go away. And if I'm looking up at the problem because I'm really little and I've got this big Goliath of a problem, well, the way most people approach it is like, well, I'm just going to take down the Goliath. I'm just going to like shoot what do you use? A slingshot or something? David and Goliath? Yeah. Yeah. I probably should not be the one making this metaphor, but here we are. So I'm going to use a slingshot and take down Goliath. But like that, it doesn't work. Not in business. The only option is to grow so big that the problem becomes small. And that's perspective.
Right.
State of mind. That's zooming out. That's taking a break. I have so many examples of now that I've taken a break. Oh, it was there the whole time. Oh my God. And I'm sure everyone around me is like, yeah, dude, duh.
That's why I'm rolling my eye. That's why I'm rolling my eyes again. It's like that's 6 months ago.
Definitely. 100%. The motion for you is to get out, get away, get somewhere else, book something. I know you feel scarce and tight and resource bound and time bound, like everything's collapsing and the world's collapsing. The only way to do it is to be the juggernaut and just keep running. It's not strategic. That's the opposite. Like that's no different than a kid having a temper tantrum. Just woosah. And can you create some space?
You're also running with like 3 ton on your back at the same time.
You're carrying all the grocery bags in, man. If you aren't able to make space for your vision, I can promise you're only going to have what you have today. It really requires a zoom out to do something bigger. And
you have pain. That's what you have. That is your vision is pain.
It's funny you say it that way too. It's almost like your vision is pain and you're submitting yourself to more of it. Like there's an easier way over there.
If that's the vision, why wouldn't you? Right? That's because you think that's what you want. Right? Maybe you don't tell yourself that, but if that's the vision, that's what you're getting what you're envisioning.
Yeah. There's a self-righteous sort of suffering that entrepreneurs have. Like, well, I'll just grit it out. Like, well, why? And it's taken me a lot of years to get to a place of like, is there an easy button? Right? That's what I think about.
No pain, no gain.
Remember the Staples ones where it was like, and then you just easy, like that. Like
that was easy.
That is but I think, man, that is just the way that I want to see life. Like, hey, is there an easy way to do this? Oh, well, let me zoom out. Cause I bet I'm just like on the cliffside with the jaggedy spikes. I'm like, whoa, I got to go this way. And there's like a green verdant light path right there. Like
flowers
right there. Yeah. And there's like my friends there. They're like, hey man, come hang out.
The old days, remember, no pain, no gain. We used to talk about that regularly on retreats. That mindset is ingrained in us.
Yep. So let's break that down, and then we're going to taper this thing off. Because I want you to take some action on this today. If you say no pain, no gain, let's take away the no's. Pain is gain. And the equation that you're living under is that more pain means more gain. Now, that for me was driven into my head through athletics. You suffer more, you burn more, you hurt more, then you're going to be a better athlete.
That's religion too.
It's everywhere, man. It's so ingrained in us. And in business, if you come at business with this no pain, no gain mentality, or better said, pain is gain mentality, the optics that you're going to have on growth is that you need to suffer more. And eventually that mental model will collapse or you will. I'm inviting you to make that mental model collapse today. Rewrite your story about pain and gain, that gain comes from something incredibly simple and easy and possibly even enjoyable. How about that? It could actually be fun to grow your business.
Imagine that.
You know, it's a good statement. You know, it's valid because I didn't get a solar eclipse.
I don't have to suffer.
Crazy. I could just enjoy this. Well, look, this is the idea of abundance, right? I think we've made abundance about money. Abundance is about money. It's about the internal mechanisms of
the space you have within yourself, the capacity.
Yeah. So here's your third item. I want you to look at your calendar and look at the next time you have a break. And if that break is not within the next 10 days, build one. And I'm serious, 10 days. That's all you got. 10 days, build one. Doesn't have to be a lavish cruise across the Caribbean. It can just be 4 hours, no laptop, no phone in the cafe, journaling, writing. Maybe you don't even feel comfortable doing that. I don't care. I'm uncomfortable doing it. I get very uncomfortable doing it. In fact, I get so uncomfortable doing it that I avoid setting it up. But that's where the work is. That's where the space is to find your vision. And I know it's uncomfortable. I just need you to go. I just need you to block some kind of space on your calendar to get you off the battlefield and run up. Here's a good example for my video gamers out there. Imagine you're playing Call of Duty, right? And it's chaos. You just keep, every time you get down in the field, boom, dead, boom, dead. You just always, boom. Well, go get out of the middle of the arena and get to the outside and just stay there for a second. Just camp for a second. Look at the battlefield. See where the patterns are. If everyone's dropping in the same place and everyone's just mowing them down, well, probably don't go there. It's not that hard. There's a better way. There's always a better way. But you have to see it. And to see it, we need distance. To get distance, we need space. To get space, you need intention. And you can right now set up some space on your calendar. Doesn't need to be long.
The business won't grow unless you grow. It just won't.
Pow.
It's as simple as that.
What would you say to someone that says, I can't set aside time. I can't take a break right now.
Well, the first thing I would say is bullshit. Like, and I'm honest about that. It would be bullshit. Like, for what reason? I always, this was always one of my ways. I would get really dramatic. Oh yeah, the business won't survive without you. It's everything's going to collapse.
5 hours.
The melodrama of what you're telling yourself, because I'm so important, I can't take a break. Bullshit.
Solar eclipses in there.
Because that's what it is. Bullshit.
Yeah, so I agree.
I don't care if it's 2 hours. You can't tell me that you can't step away for a couple hours.
Yeah, even just to collect yourself. You know what? Look, I think the best thing that sometimes I can do for business is to go play soccer. Right? Because now I'm like, the activity helps me reset.
The best thing you can do for all of us is go play soccer.
Yeah. This is not a podcast. This is a live coaching session happening right now. A team meeting. Hey man, it's better for everyone if you go away. Dude, I've been told that before and now I don't take offense to it. Hey, the best thing you can do right now, Aaron, is go away. And go take a walk, man. Like chill. And I used to be offended, right? Now I'm appreciative because I know what's being said is the state that you're in, the optics that you have right now do not satisfy what we need from you. We need something different from you.
Like the tunnel could be a year, it could be 2 years. Like I have no idea, you have no idea. Which is why it's even more important that you step away, because the tunnel's never going to leave you, but that will at least give you some space to deal with that and work through that as you go along. When you're in the tunnel, it becomes a survival mechanism, and you have to do it.
Definitely. And you know what's funny? I was just thinking about this. The number one reason that people don't hire coaches is because they say they're in the tunnel. And I'm like, this is the time you need someone to come in and box and tackle and block for you. Like, but that people say that all the time. Like, oh, I'll call you when. I'm like, dude, you don't this could be a year.
Now I told you what to tell them. Bullshit. That's all it is. It's bullshit. That's your story.
It's excuses. Yep. If you're in your tunnel right now, you got some work to do. I hope you're navigating with a degree of integrity the things that we talked about, right? Zooming out, making sure you set up time, looking at your calendar, starting to look at what activities really charge you up. Those things are really simple activities that you can do. Like you could do everything that I just prescribed to you in 15 minutes, right? Go through, write down your task list, plus or minus at the end of the day. You could go through and look at, what's on your responsibilities in your calendar and look at, can I delete, automate, or delegate any of these things? That takes 15 minutes. And then you could book a break the next 10 days within 15 minutes. Like none of it takes that long. It does take intentionality. And if you're in the tunnel, I sympathize, I empathize. I need you to hear me, pause for a moment, listen to what Marty is saying. It's all bullshit, your story. We're here to help you.
If you don't do it, you will be deleted.
Yeah, you're going to be deleted. I hope this is helpful for you. And if it's not helpful for you, I would encourage you to ask this question. Why are you not listening? You spent this whole podcast listening, but you didn't listen to the advice. So get action oriented, take some time to zoom out. If you need help, if you want our focus exercise, send us a message. We'd love if you like and subscribe to us on YouTube. If you haven't already, check out our website, go to living.vision and check out everything that we have there. We have an accelerator program. We've got one-on-one work. We've got some retreats all lined up just for you to help make sure that you stay as a visionary and stay the architect of your business and where you're going, not just stuck where you are. We got lots of ways to help. More importantly, make sure you get out of your own way today. We'll see you on the next episode. Marty, thanks for dropping some thunder today. I'll see you soon, brother.
A little beach time will do that.
Each time brings the thunder. I like it. See, even he's taking a break.
That's right.
All right, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for being here.